United's interest in a successor to Casemiro isn't a slight on the Brazilian. It's calendar logic. Age curves, salary ceilings, and the way Ruben Amorim's 3-4-2-1 handles first-phase pressure all point to one truth. The next version of United must be built on a press-proof number 6 who can cover space without a chaperone and move play forward without inviting chaos. That's why Aurelien Tchouaméni keeps landing on whiteboards at Carrington. Start with the job description, not the name. In Amorim's shape, the 6 toggles 2 structures. Against high pressure, United open with a 3+1. The back 3 form the platform. The single 6 sits on the pivot line, receives on the half-turn, and plays out of traffic. Mid-blocks, the picture becomes a 2+2. 2 center-backs, plus a double pivot to bait the press and create lanes for the 10s. The hinge is the same player. He must be fast enough to reach the weak side, calm enough to invite contact, and tidy enough to recycle without slowing tempo. He must also police cutbacks when wingbacks jump. If that sounds like 3 signings in one, you see the recruitment problem. Casemiro still reads danger as well as anyone. But doing the running and the passing and the calming for 50 matches is a tax. Within the league's sustainability rules, United need impact minutes on lower wages and longer runways. That's where Tchouameni's profile makes executives stubborn. He wins duels without lunging. He receives under pressure with shoulders open. He passes forward without feeding counters. He slides into the back line on long clearances, then steps into midfield as soon as possession stabilizes. He is a 6 and a center back in the same shirt, which is precisely the efficiency a modern squad needs. The role value appears most clearly when United protect a lead. Recent wobbles came from 2 places: central giveaways when the first exit was improvised, and weak side gaps when the far center back watched the ball, not the runner. Tchouameni reduces both. Because he positions early, center backs don't have to force the middle. They can step to the ball side knowing the 6 fills the highway. Because he plays 1 touch when needed and 2 touch when possible, the rhythm of possession becomes boring in the best way. Throw-in patterns turn into short-long to the far wingback. Second phases are claimed before they become scrambles. There's also the chemistry layer. Amorim's front 3 live on first-window truth. Early, flat deliveries into the corridor, with blindside runs from Bryan Mbeumo and outside-in diagonals from Marcus Rashford. That only appears consistently if the first phase is quiet. A press-resistant 6 lets Bruno Fernandes choose value rather than volume. He lets Luke Shaw step into midfield on cue without leaving a hole. He lets Matthias de Ligt call a higher line because the ball doesn't boomerang through zone 14. The entire team breathes differently when the midfield base is unshakable. Price matters, of course. 9 figures sounds theatrical until you audit your placement cost. If you don't buy an all-phase 6, you spend on 2 players, 1 to progress, 1 to clean up. You then wait months for timing to appear. United's rebuild under Ineos is supposed to be about cutting churn, not multiplying it. A single high capex, low wage curve anchor can be cheaper than a pair of almosts. That's the cap logic without a cap reality of the Premier League's financial guardrails. Academy minutes and pre-prime efficiency are the only sustainable edges. Would Real Madrid sell? The honest read, it's unlikely without an extraordinary bid or a player push. That doesn't end the analysis, it shapes it. If United can't access the A tier, they must buy a role, not a name. The checklists are non-negotiable. Reception angles under heat, stride length to close the far post, timing to foul wide at halfway, but never central, scanning habit to see the third pass. Not just the next one, that is why. Targets like João Gomez or Morten Hjulmand also sit on lists, not because they are identical, but because they tick enough boxes to let the system work. Zoom back to the pitch. What would change the minute a Tchouameni type walks in? First, build sequences look cleaner after halftime. United's sloppiest window. The line drops 5 meters by plan, not panic. The 6 becomes the backstop rather than the chaser. Bruno touches the ball as the second exit, not the first. Second, the set-piece seesaw tilts United's way. With a dominant aerial 6 who also reads bounces, you can staff 2 technicians at the D without fearing the counter. You win the first clearance and the second touch. Third, transitions both directions speed up. Win it? The 6 plays forward on contact. Lose it? He arrives, not dives, and kills the counter for a yellow card-free 25 yards. The intangible is leadership by tempo. United's personality has improved. Late equalizers. Stronger pressing curves, more early. Balls, but adrenaline still leaks into decisions. A calm 6 resets the team's temperature. When first contact is steady, wing-backs take one more stride before crossing. The 10s delay their run by half a beat. Strikers arrive on the blind side rather than wrestling in front. Goals look simpler because the build hid the hard part. There's room for growth even in a star profile. Any incoming 6 must resist the urge to play showy diagonals under noise. Amorim's model rewards vertical simplicity. He must accept that good can be boring. Win the duel, play the third man, step into the lane, repeat. He must also share the room with Casemiro, whose 8/6 skill set will only expand. The best version is rotational. The senior 6 handles heavyweight away days and late-game lockouts. Menu starts control fixtures and closes when the opponent stretches. Minutes are not a hierarchy. They are a map. If the window never opens for Tchouameni, the project still holds. United's defensive record improves when details are rehearsed. Far post handoffs, second ball spacing, and foul selection. But the ceiling changes when the base is elite. A team that currently looks modern for 60 minutes can look ruthless for 90. That's the point of the rumor. Not a headline for its own sake, but a roster thesis. United don't need a star to sell shirts. They need a metronome to sell certainty. One closing thought: Casemiro's legacy at Old Trafford should be framed correctly. He arrived, he raised standards, he taught a young dressing room what elite means. If the project moves to a new anchor, it's not a rejection, it's succession. The best clubs keep the idea while changing the carrier. United finally have an idea. Now they must decide who carries it for the next 5 years.